I watched the latest Russell Crowe cinematic masterpiece feature vehicle, The
Ooh,
Pope's Exorcist.
what?
And holy shit!
How far has he fallen?
Oh boy! Like, you know how you have a deep well, and then you have the crust of the earth.
Since we're on the ground level, we are on planet Earth. Let's take it off the ground, shall we? For All Mankind is a TV series from Apple that I've been recently watching. And I haven't finished it yet, all the things that are there to watch, but I'm like halfway in between the episodes of the third season. And oh boy, I guess there would be a lot to say about this show, but for starters, it's like an alternative universe timeline. Well, as we all know, that the US got to the moon first, and then the USSR apparently just abandoned all their moon missions and grandiose missions that they had planned out pretty meticulously as well. But anyway, in this alternate version of reality, in 1969, the Soviet Union beats the United States to the moon. And this leads to like a never-ending space race between the two superpowers. Race that first starts in the moon. The United States shortly joins the USSR on the moon. For some goddamn reason, the US decides that the best course of action is to land exactly where the USSR landed, because there's a huge crater, and well, somehow they deduce that this is the only crater and that best crater where we can find water for running like a moon colony, which they start running pretty quickly in the 70s in this timeline. It starts from a small moon base in the first season and then develops into something more advanced, like a proper colony in season 2. And well, these are not really spoilers. Everybody knows this if you're interested in this series. It's kind of like the outline of the whole thing. And in season 3, it's on to Mars. And what happens after that, I actually haven't checked it out yet. But yeah, it has a lot going for it, and there's a lot going on. So first, of course, the rocks, Moon and Mars. The first season and the second season, they have a lot of personal drama also going on behind these, I would say, very well crafted characters. They are interesting characters. They have a lot of star power, I would say. And it's natural to try to find something interesting drama-wise from astronauts. They did have real-life drama plentifully, if you think about the relationships that ended. Was it something like 70% or more of the astronauts, Apollo astronauts that visited the moon and came back later, they had a divorce. Maybe not so surprising though, so divorce is a pretty common phenomenon. But anyways, a lot of human drama there. And that is something that really wears down the fascination of at least the first and the second season. It becomes kind of a soap opera more than about the missions on the moon. Granted, they are still building the characters there, but there's a lot of like dead zone moments where two people are just talking about events that we haven't experienced before. It's just kind of trying to artificially, sometimes disgustingly artificially, trying to make some kind of more chemistry between two characters. And it's just the dialogue, it can be extremely cheesy. But when we finally get to this third season, things start to improve. It's actually a little bit more about the adventure on the rock that we are presently in. There is one NASA astronaut that also happens to get very high up the ladder in US politics, let's say, without spoiling absolutely everything. There is also a lot of story elements regarding LGBTQ characters and how these LGBTQ characters are suffering in the political climate of those times. So there's not much simulation in other parts of the reality. Okay, Soviets got to the moon first, but the rest of the kind of how people approached different groups of people during those times, that kind of stays exactly the same. And so when someone comes off the closet on Mars, let's say, as a little spoiler there for you, yeah, things get pretty interesting pretty fast, and it has a kind of this domino effect on the rest of the political landscape. So yeah, and then there is this manufactured kind of AI developed, I guess, TV shots where you might have the President Bill Clinton, and then they are kind of edited together with the characters from that series and made actually quite believable. And there's more John Lennon mentioned than I care to really share. I don't know what's the fascination of this series to bring up John Lennon all the time, but yeah, John Lennon was speaking a lot about peace. Still kind of processing what I'm going through. It's certainly improving, so if you're in the potholes of season 1, oh boy, but don't give up, there's better stuff going on later on. So, careful recommendation for now.
Well, I have to ask you, man, like, what were you expecting? watching a TV series about the moon, one of the fakest things that you can have.
And some of the fakest astronauts that I've seen ever. Like, they happen to get a lot of things kind of factually accurate-ish, but then they get
like what?
Can't really put my finger on it right now, but at least it's
precisely.
At least it's more conservative than, like, if you would be comparing this to something like Star Wars. Like, okay, this is still planted on sort of kind of reality, us developing our technology and making it more fancier and fanciful in the scope of about 30 years. That's where I'm now. We're kind of in the 90s in the series. The interesting thing about the series is that it always jumps like 10 years ahead. So there's always something new to tell, whether it be technology-wise or, relationship-wise with the characters. But yeah, coming back to the astronauts. Oh my god. Like, why are they always dumbasses? Like, they're anything but dumbasses. They can't be dumbasses in space. But, like, the major conflicts that that are happening in the moon bases or the Mars base, there's always someone who starts choking on, like, a bottle full of pills that he shouldn't be using, then goes crazy in the head. Or somebody goes gets some kind of a moon madness, is staying in this one very, very claustrophobic environment for days and weeks and months on end, and then loses it. Exactly the kind of people that you would not, under any circumstances, get on a moon base. And moody people, just unstable people. That's my major gripe about the series. People are just too moody, but I guess they couldn't figure out how to make television out of moon traveling or Mars traveling, because let's face it, there was this one company who was trying to kind of monetize and fund their Mars mission by turning it into a reality TV. Well, that company went bankrupt and went tits up. But if they would have pulled that off, there's what's there to watch? People are in a big can floating in space months on end. It's not interesting, and they are actually like stable people. It would be more interesting if you would have like some macho maniacs in a tin can trying to kill themselves. That would be fun.
Talking about macho maniacs in Tin Can trying to kill themselves, so not Tin Can, Planet Earth in this case. To tie this one to you, I checked out. I can immediately spoil you the whole season 3 of your TV series because the moon itself is fake. It's complete fake news, as was proved to me by Karri and Henrik's Moonfall from 2022. The film that proves 100% that it's like Obi-Wan said in Star Wars, that's no moon. Because moon itself is a giant-ass megastructure and not a real planet. It was actually created millions of years ago, the megastructure, before humanity ever even existed. God damn it. And who was it created by? It was created by a mysterious race of aliens, which was humans, but from like a really far away space place away from... See, the thing is that in far away ass end of space, there was an alien race which looked exactly like humans, and they created an AI, but the AI went berserk and decided to just annihilate the whole alien race, so they kind of escaped, and they created like all these mega structures which they cleverly masqueraded as different stars, including the moon. And then they have some kind of a genetic gene splicing thing. And they used planet Earth as a giant petri dish in order to create something like humanity. And so we are kind of an offshoot continuation from the mysterious space human things. And then the alien... The AI thing is it finds the megastructure moon and decides to crash it on planet Earth, and everybody on Earth has something better to do than to try to save the Earth from actually being destroyed by crash landing planet moon.
Okay.
As the film makes exactly clear. Like, oh my god, I never actually seen a Karri and Henrik film where there's so large scale global planet Earth destruction as in Moonfall, where the moon itself, the megastructure, is about to crash on Earth's surface and just absolutely kill us all. And at the same time, everybody makes a repeated point how they have more important things to do than try to prevent, the destruction of the entire planet Earth.
Let me guess. It's like a repetition of what's that Leonardo DiCaprio movie from a couple of... I think I talked about that freaking film in one of these catch-up episodes.
Don't Look Up, except where Don't Look Up was some type of a political parody. This tries to be some type of a serious action adventure with dramatic twist film.
But let me guess, there's like the president or some big political figures who are just not interested.
Well, not quite. They are interested enough that their first course of action is trying to launch a nuclear missile at the moon, which of course would explode in our atmosphere and pretty much just kill us all. So it's the same thing from Independence Day, but Independence Day when they launched the nuke at the aliens, everybody was really sad about it and they all acknowledged that it's a shitty plan, but they decided to try it anyways. In here, well, the president is just like, yeah, that sounds like a really smart move, like nuclear fallout. What could be the worst case scenario ever? But the president's credit in the Moonfall, he's not held by, the NASA astronauts or any think tank that tries to find an alternative solution to the problem, because all of those assholes in the end are just constantly whining how they have something better to do. And the first hiccup, that the first plan that they ever managed to conduct, when the first problem arises, everybody just gives up. And it's like, I'm not even trying to solve this problem.
No, come
because
on.
I have better things to do.
Come on.
And you are looking at it like we are talking about the destruction of the entire planet Earth. But they all just decide that now they are going to see their kids or some shit.
You have to always have a Bruce Willis in your back pocket for these kind of situations.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Playing the tough guy on the asteroid.
Yeah. And here, well, basically, the only tough guy, it's one papa. Who is the main male star in those Conjuring movies? It's right on my tongue.
Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, Patrick Wilson. He tries to save the script, but he can't. It's just too fucking stupid. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I'd say it's a whole thing. Bunch of shit happens. The gravitation poles shift. Earth loses gravity. Fire rains down from the heavens, and then mysteriously everything just stops when it's convenient. And like,
I want some of that Henrik is smoking, or the pills that he's choking down.
yeah, I would be lining up for those too. And not necessarily using the same special effects company, because mostly the effects here are serviceable, if not even great. But at the same time, also there are moments where, oh my god, the sets and the effects are just like atrocious.
Alright, yeah. I think I was kind of done with Roland Emmerich ever since Godzilla, so I'm not sure how you found the heart to keep watching this.
Well, this one was easy. This was child's play. The real tricky trick with Emmerich was to watch the Anonymous. That's like horribly stupid and complete bullshit Shakespeare conspiracy film that he made. And that one he made like seriously, or at least he went public, outed himself publicly, stating that he was serious with that shit. And oh my god, like that is one of the most stupidest things. That is even more stupid than Moonfall, and Moonfall is bloody well stupid. But yeah, no recommendation for Moonfall at all.
Wow. Well, I did watch Home Alone. I have no transition for this, but what to say about that? I'm just gonna run through it quickly because yeah, it's been a while since I've seen this film. It was Christmas now, so I thought, what the heck, let's give it a whirl. What was Home Alone like? And I've always been kind of, I guess, contrarian when it comes to these films, because I do like the part 2 a little bit more. But the first one, it also worked for me, and worked way better now than it worked before. I still think it kind of ends abruptly. It would have needed a bit more stakes and action, but hey, this is Macaulay Culkin, and it's his show, right? It's the reason why we watch this, because it's the kid who's got pretty big brains there and decent acting chops for such a young age. So you watch it and you're kind of wondering how far they're gonna push this kid and how much he can deliver. Yeah, he's a kid, but no child, of course, would behave the way that he is behaving in these situations, and hopefully also same goes for the adults. But who the hell loses their same kid twice and to the same burglars? Wow. Yeah, those kind of parents should be locked up for child abuse, but it's pure entertainment. I was kind of looking for a little bit more variation, a little bit more push by the end, like get the stakes going, but doesn't quite get there. But hey, it was Christmas. It's okay. It's alright. Yeah, watch it.
Yeah. Okay, well, to reel this one back on to the surface of planet Earth from Moonfall, I watched something that is based on, gosh darn it, true events, or at least two autobiographical books. You remember how previously in this same discussion I led with praising Kevin Bacon for carrying things on his shoulders. Well, believe me not, there's actually a reason why I did that, because I watched the latest Russell Crowe cinematic masterpiece feature vehicle, The Pope's Exorcist.
What?
And holy shit!
How far has he fallen?
Oh boy! Like, you know how you have a deep well, and then you have the crust of the earth, and the other side of that is the literal China, and Russell Crowe is still falling. Like, oh boy!
So a little bit deeper than that Sadako well in Ring.
Oh boy! Like Sadako well is ground level compared to this nonsense. So the Pope's Exorcist. Well, holy shit! The film is based on the life of or something of the film is based on on two books from real life Vatican exorcist. Gabriele Amorth, which is also the character that Russell Crowe is playing here, and more specifically, the film is based on Amorth's books. An exorcist tells his story, and an exorcist more stories, which I myself have never read because God no, but I suspect that Amorth is telling like real events, that the real exorcisms that he has committed, real cases here. And Amorth also, perhaps if the name rings a bell, most likely is because of the William Friedkin's Netflix documentary The Devil and Father Amorth, which was about the guy and Friedkin's like experiences with Father Amorth and trying to solve the age-old question, is the devil real? And as Friedkin found out, apparently the devil is really real and can cause all kinds of havoc, like extremely heavily computerized demonic voice growlings happening and causing the batteries fail whenever you actually are meeting a demonically possessed person, as happened to Friedkin's documentary. God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen The Devil and Father Amorth, it's infamous at this point by the fact that Friedkin states that what he's showing you is real events, but some of those scenes have been digitally doctored.
Yeah.
And oh boy, you can tell. Like there's a possessed person who screams, and it's obviously digitalized demon growl effect that Friedkin is using. And then there's a moment where Friedkin states that he met a real life possessed person while filming the film, but unfortunately, you know, the Satan happened to be present, and all the cameras just, the batteries just died. He just couldn't capture it on camera.
Oh.
No, record the sound, but trust me, bro. And Father Amorth rises from that documentary as a man who has, who states that he has done over 60,000 exorcisms during his career, which means that he has done at least 2 exorcisms per month throughout his entire life. And exorcisms are supposed to be like process that you don't do except after a heavy background check, which is supposed to take months because you're not supposed to do unnecessary exorcisms. But I guess Gabriele Amorth is like a super exorcist and can just like open a shop from 8 to 5 Monday to Friday and just like take them in and throw them out. Just exercise all of them as they go and does the office hours or some shit. But that's the framework. That's the basis. That's the basis. Those are the stories that Reverend Edward Siebert actually originally bought the rights to and decided to make a film about it. And as it's rumored that what he immediately said after he had bought the rights was like, oh my god, what have I done? What have I gone and done? That's a really good question, looking at the end result, Pope's Exorcist, coming from Julius Avery, previously directed Overlord, which was okay, if unremarkable Nazi zombie horror film. Seriously, Frankenstein's Army is a better Nazi zombie film than Overlord, but you know, earned his chops there. Now he's working with Russell Crowe, and Oh my god. We are in some waters with this one. To give Russell Crowe some credit, the man does try. He does it all here. He drives Vespa. He has absolutely atrociously bad Italian. Oh, that's a spicy meatball accent, which is kind of tones it down, grovels it down. Just if I spoke really slow and steadily, I can pass this accent on. Stunt, it does not work. He has a character gimmick. He goes cuckoo constantly. The bullshit real explanation there is that the devil for some reason hates jokes and hates people making fun. So he's Gabriel Amorth is mocking the devil by going cuckoo, and Mr. Weirdly enough, he does this every single time that he meets a young nun. Like, young nun walks past Russell Crowe and Russell goes cuckoo. And you're looking at it, you're like, no, Russell, no, don't, it's 2023, it's post Me Too, Russell, no, hot mission, abort, no. And, oh boy. And then you have the climatic end battle where fucking absolutely everything happens. Russell Crowe has the extremely digitalized demon crow. You can hear the audio effects going overtime as he does that, because he decides to do that thing for Friedkin's The Exorcist, that possess me stunt, and the demon possesses Russell, and Russell goes and then he runs into an underground weird Catholic Satan chamber because he's possessed. Then he levitates in the air like he's Baron Harkonnen from David Lynch's The Dune that we watched here on the lab. Everything's going to hell, but there's the second priest who yells at him, no, Russell, no, resist him, there could be a sequel, and that brings Russell Crowe back to the earth, and he can fight the demon inside him, and also some naked demon bitch who has tits hanging out, and they somehow beat it, and it's like, oh boy, whoo shit with this one. Oh god.
Wow, well.
Whew. Yeah. And I can believe, I can already see like how the listeners of the episode are like, oh yeah, me and Henrik is bullying Hollywood horror film. But believe me, man, I'm actually doing the film a solid here. I'm doing it a favor. Looking at the batshit stupid first part and absolutely bananas ending, because between the beginning and the end there is also the whole rest of the movie, which is unbelievably so crushingly boring. Like, holy fuck, I've seen paints that try more adventurously than what this film is. If you ever seen an like demonic possession movie, you've seen every single trick that this film tries to pull out. Yeah, there is a weird scratchy writing on the kid's stomach. The kid yells things like cocksucker and levitates on the earth and has of course, has really horrible like waxy makeup prosthetics on his face, which look fake as all fuck. And why? And it's so run of the mill that I actually, honest to God, I fell asleep watching this one. And usually, like, this has happened to me a couple of times in course of the lab. And when I've fallen asleep in the middle of a film, I've rewinded it from the moment when I snoozed off and just watch it again. And hand on my heart, I was actually gonna do it here too. I had my mouse pointer hovering over the timeline so that I can skip, the moment where I dozed off. But that was like an hour. That meant that I would have to rewind the movie for an entire hour. And I just couldn't do it. It's too fucking boring. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I just rewinded it, the 15 minutes so that I could get into the whatever is the bullshit twist that the film is going to have, because these films they always have some kind of twist on the narrative. Something is not what it seems. So I skipped into that part, and I pray I wouldn't have done that one. Like the plot twist here, it is like it's downright insulting. Years ago I remember I read this comic book called Revelations. It was from Dark Horse Comics. It was came during I found it in a local library when Da Vinci Code was all the rage. It's a murder mystery that happens in Vatican.
Yeah.
And it has this bullshit twist at the end of it. It turns out that Satan is trying to infiltrate Vatican, and there's like a group of semi-rogue priests who try to keep the Satan at bay. But the really infuriating part is that the comic makes the case that you remember these news stories about pedophile priests inside Vatican and how Vatican protects them and all this and the Inquisition and all that nonsense, like. And the comic's point is that whenever a journalist or look at, make news about the pedophiles in Vatican Church, or historians look at the Inquisition or something like that, they are all playing the devil's game, because the devil wants those stories to be aired out in the public, so that people will lose faith in Catholic Church, and therefore Satan can rise. So basically, all the journalists and historians are bad guys, and they should just not report about the pedophilic crimes inside the Vatican, etc. And that was a plot twist so horrendously infuriating that if it hadn't been borrowed from the library, I would have fucking burned that comic right then and right there. And Pope's Exorcist is not as bad in its plot twist, but it comes really fucking close, because the plot twist here, spoilers for extremely bad horror film, the plot twist here is that an uber demon managed to possess one of the main priests who were eventually kicked off the idea of Inquisition. And it kind of also toys with the idea that perhaps other crimes that has committed by the Vatican Church are kind of like the priest behind those, but they were just possessed. The church itself is not evil. Unfortunately, these demonic possessions happen. And that's when, things like Inquisition turned out. And first of all, oh my god, Jesus Christ, that is almost insultingly stupid plot twist. But it doesn't even work. Like, even if you would believe the plot twist's statement that, the main architect, so let's say, behind Inquisition was possessed by a demon, and that's why he started, like, the Inquisition was an inside job inside of the Vatican by a demon, but like, the rest of the church still went on with it. Like, yeah, you have one possessed asshole who goes on, hey, maybe perhaps we should start torturing and burn women at the stake. Okay, that asshole is a possessed person. Perhaps, okay, fine, I swallow that. But the whole rest of the church was like, okay, yeah, fine, that's a good idea. Let's go with that. The fucking plot twist doesn't even make fucking sense. Jesus Christ, Russell Crowe. Fuck this movie. And then, after all these baffling nonsense, oh my god, films try to set up a Vatican cinematic universe. I kid you not. So the kid is saved, and Russell Crowe is saved. Russell Crowe returns to the Vatican, and there's this priest in the Vatican who goes, whips out this big ass map. It turns out like the demon possessing the kid here in Pope's Exorcist, it was like one of the lead angels who fell on Earth when, the angels rebelled against God. But turns out that there were 99 different spots where also similar type of fallen angels have landed. So there are 99 spots of major possession demon things going on, and the priest is to Russell Crowe, like, do you wanna assemble the Vatican Avengers and, kick all of the exorcism Black Ops operation, and Russell Crowe is like, oh hell yeah, maybe we can turn 99 more of these fucking films. Oh my god, Jesus, this was bad.
Vatican may not be the subject that you want to deep dive into with 99 movies at this point in time.
No, here's a subject I want to deep dive. Like, fuck. Seriously, why the fuck am... Well, why I watch these? Please, God, put me out of my fucking misery. That's the ticket.
Speaking of that, a little side note. I don't really recall this film that well anymore, but I have like this vivid images of what's going on there in my head. Well, the film is Nope by Jordan Peele. Did you happen to watch it?
I didn't. I was meant to, but unfortunately, the trailer was too confusing and the poster was like too nothing interesting. So I noped out of the ticket line, and then the movie noped out of the film theaters altogether, and I haven't been able to find it since.
Yeah. Well, should I say that you didn't miss anything? It's of course it's been liked mostly. Mostly people are over the moon about this movie. I fail to see why. If we look at just the sort of a bad entity, the antagonist character-ish thing in this movie, yeah, it's just kind of a something undefinable in the sky. I think if you even just watch the trailer, you get the gist of that. It's something in the sky. Is it aliens or what is it? And it just kind of revolves around this entity that is in the sky and seems to be killing or lasering or torturing, butchering, burning people. Found it really meandering. I remember that. I found that I just didn't connect with any of the characters. It's great that we're having more, black leads now in the theaters, but unfortunately, I just don't. I didn't find like, holy hell! Now I remember it was so hard to even understand what the characters are saying because they have this really thick, I don't know what, West Country accent, and like you absolutely have to have subtitles on, otherwise you will suffer like never before. So that's a certain horror element there, if you will. It's just about that thing in the sky until the very end of the movie. Very little development I think there was plot-wise. I just thoroughly hated it. I felt that it was a really forced way to, let's build something new that no one has ever seen before, and it's really weird, and there are these black characters who are wondering what it is and trying to crack the code, and honestly, there wasn't really any logic, in my opinion, how the bad guy operates and how the characters interact with that. My review by the end of the movie was like, nope, I'm glad that it's over and it's done with.
Okay, sounds like a movie that I have to check out just so that I can, have a completely opposite opinion of it, and thinking we can have a huge fight here on the podcast.
Okay, that was a bit of a side mumbling there, but I could tell you something about Kung Fury here, because I did watch Kung Fury.
I still haven't seen Kung Fury.
No.
I've meant to watch it for years now. Ever since that David Hasselhoff amazing music video dropped, I've been meaning to check out Kung Fury, and fuck me. I can't believe I haven't seen Kung Fury, but I sure as shit did try to check out The Pope's Exorcist.
I mean, that's a surprising thing that I'm now watching. I have watched this movie before. You have watched it. It's certainly around your alley, I would say. This kind of thing where pop culture meets historical events and things just get really weird. Kind of this mishmashy, bubbly thing where you mission match different kind of elements and, nothing really makes sense and it's not supposed to make sense. We have this Kung Fury who travels back in time to Nazi Germany in order to kill Hitler and end the Nazi Empire. So you get the gist. Like it's basically 32 minutes of visual ingenuity. I would say that's the best way to look at it. Not done with any kind of a high budget, so it's sort of impressive in that sense. You can see through the seams, but that's I mean effects wise, but that's not the point. The point is it's I would say that it continues to keep you in the grip because it is constantly so surprising and even laugh out loud funny. I would say at points. It's not completely quite there, and if you're not in the mood of watching these kind of haha, let's mix different kinds of elements of pop culture and make it kind of funny and nonsensical, this kind of sarcastic and very Finnish-esque approach, then yeah, maybe it's not for you. There are plenty of those too, but I have to say I mostly enjoyed it. It's stupid. You'll have fun.
And sometimes that's all that you need, really, from a movie.
Yep.
Speaking of having fun or not in this case, I watched Umma.
Oh.
Japanese-American horror film from 2022, takes place and is made in America, but to my understanding, mostly by a Japanese film crew,
Right.
and with a story that heavily relies on Japanese tradition and culture. It is one of those stories about the cultural integration into America, and basically it's a generational story about one generation losing its ties to the Japanese culture since they have integrated to US. And holy shit, if it's not a jumbled mess. My god.
It is, isn't it?
It is. Not constructionally, like the Pope's Exorcist was at times, but more on its themes. Like at the center of this is a mother and a daughter who have this they live in some bumfuck somewhere USA, have a beehive, have a bee farm, make honey. I have lost the touch to their cultural roots. The daughter is somewhat interested in reconnecting those roots. The mom is against it. They have a class. The daughter wants to move out of the house. The mom wishes that the daughter would just stay there forever and ever. And then weird ghost stuff starts to happen. And it works. It works until the bloody plot twist, which is just like Pope's Exorcist. Like it's not the worst I've seen, but it is somewhat infuriatingly bad. So, spoilers for I absolutely do not recommend Asian American horror film. At the end of the day, it turns out that the ghost that's haunting the farm and is mostly haunting Michelle Yeoh throughout the film. It's Michelle Yeoh's mom. Yeah, the overall patriarch of the family, and that's where the whole thing goes off the trails. The film wants to deal with parental abuse and the emotional trauma that parental abuse can have on a child. It turns out that Michelle Yeoh's mom was an abusive mother, and that included extremely harsh, also physical abuse and emotional abuse. And it like the whole ghost angle, it works up until the point where they have to have a resolution to the story where basically the twist itself works. It's the payoff to the twist that absolutely drove me on the walls. Because the ending of the movie is that Michelle Yeoh, the haunting starts to happen because, Yeoh's mother's ashes get brought into her house by her granddad, who of course as he drops off the ashes is like, oh my god, you filthy whore, you have forgotten you don't speak Japanese and you don't have the Japanese scrapings in your house, you have forgotten your culture, how dare you be this careless, you bitch, and walks out the bloody door. Doesn't exactly say those words, but that's the sentiment. And that the last wish of the mother is that Michelle Yeoh would give her the traditional Japanese burial. Yeoh, based on, the whole parental abuse that has happened and the trauma that has surfaced as a result, refuses to do this, and that's basically, it turns out that that's the reason behind the haunting. And the resolution is that Michelle Yeoh decides to connect her ties with the Japanese culture and give her mom's ashes the burial that the mom had hoped for. And in doing so, the film kind of ends up arguing that Michelle Yeoh is the one who has to understand her mom. The abusive mother who did not only torment her mentally but also physically.
All right.
Causing her permanent damage. And it's Michelle Yeoh's solemn duty to understand that, oh yeah, my mom, she was just troubled because, her husband dragged her from Japan to US and she lost all her friends, and in Japan she had a business but she didn't have a business in US, so that was really sad, and that's the reason, for all the parental abuse that happened. And that can be the explanation, but the film kind of argues that it was okay. Because Michelle Yeoh's mom was really hurting because she couldn't be a seamstress or whatever the fuck she was in Japan when she, immigrated to US. Oh. And also she lost her friends, so lost her social standing, basically.
Well, then it's okay.
And then it's okay, I guess. Movie has a happy ending. Michelle Yeoh is like, yeah, I fully understand you, mom ghost. And I will reconnect my cultural ties to the Japanese culture. And I was like, just fucking shoot me right here, right now, please.
Speaking of shooting, well, I guess we're going back to North Korea, unfortunately. Okay. I don't know what's happening here, but we happened to watch Crash Landing on You here at home. Crash Landing on You is one of these hit Netflix TV shows from South Korea, which kind of exceptionally trumps actually and takes the focus into North Korea in the way that it does. I suppose something that maybe hasn't done exactly like this before. Crash Landing on You depicts a very rich heir of a rich company, a lady who goes paragliding, and unfortunately there's all of a sudden a storm, and the storm takes the woman to the other side of the border to North Korea, and she wakes up there and is like, oh, where am I? And suddenly finds herself in a situation with a North Korean soldier. Well, as the story develops, you can imagine, they fall in love, and it's more than a little complicated. But it's interesting to see South Korea trying to depict North Korea, and also trying to do it in a way where it's not seeking any kind of conflict really with North Korea, not trying to be really soft in the approach, and trying to keep the sort of politics to an absolute minimum. Just concentrating on these particular characters that we have here, like some crony people in the North Korean army, causing all the headache for our characters. But the depiction doesn't quite land. Surely there are communities where it's as sunny as is depicted in the TV series, but I would say that the situation in North Korea seems to be a little bit better than you would expect. And it's kind of just to kind of maybe not push it too far, or unfortunately it could have pushed it more into the direction of the poverty and the daily challenges there. Now it's more like watered down into, oh well, we have just these different traditions here, and we cook outside with this gas stove, and it's all fine and dandy. There's not so much meat all the time, but look at these beautiful foods we have. And yeah, but anyways, extremely unrealistic situations, goes completely bonkers. North Koreans stepping on the south side and South Koreans going to the north side with barely any inconvenience, and then starting up like a bullet orchestra in a warehouse in South Korea, as you do. And there's just way too much slow motion, which seems to really add up when you get to episodes 20 or what have you. These painful slow-mo moments where the main characters are just hugging each other, and that takes a lot of the runtime of the episode, actually. You start to wonder, you don't even wonder, these are so artificially extended, some of these episodes, that it's started to get a little bit soul-crushing somewhere in the middle. But you push through, and not sure if it was all worth it, to be honest. The main characters, by the way, they are also in a real-life relationship, which was announced a little bit after the series came out. Hyun Bin and Son Ye-jin. And you can really see it in their performance, I would say. Like, these guys definitely care about each other on a whole nother level. So that side works. Gosh, a little bit toning down and a little bit scaling down of the slow motion is what I would have liked. But we didn't get that, but we certainly get a lack of slow motion in the next one. But do you have something to drop in between?
Well, in between, speaking of warehouses and being out there, I checked out Crimes of the Future, the newest film from David Cronenberg, which was pretty damn okay in my opinion. Cronenberg is one of those directors who works with bunch of different sizes of budgets. The Crimes of the Future is one of those smaller budgets. Was shot for 27 million. So absolutely not for nothing, but Hollywood has seen bigger budgets. And oh boy, does that show in this film. Like this looks even cheaper than 27 million film. This looks extremely cheap. It's mostly shot in different type of warehouses. Kudos to Cronenberg, he actually manages to make it still work. Like even though it looks cheap as all hell, at times even like a student feature level of cheapness, but Cronenberg kind of manages to make it work in a way that he can sell you that it is an artistic vision. Not to a point where it wouldn't distract me at times, but still in a way that if like David Cronenberg, if I would come face to face with Cronenberg and he would say that no, that was an artistic vision, I could kind of be like, yeah, I believe you with some caveats, David. So in that regard, pretty good job. And as a film altogether, it's not like peak David Cronenberg weirdness. This one is body horror. It's not the most body horror that Cronenberg has done. It deals with self-mutilation and mutations and basically the effects that technical society has on our bodies. It's not the film that tackles any of these three topics. I would say the deepest that Cronenberg has done. It's not there with Videodrome, and the body horror is not there with something like The Fly, etc., etc. I would say that when it comes to dealing with a topic, this is less Videodrome and more like existence. So it deals with it, it is in the core, and it goes into at times into interesting spaces with its questions and its themes, but it's not like the peak Cronenberg. And also when it comes to the actor performances, all the performances are intentionally extremely held back here, which of course also means that you're dealing with likes of Viggo Mortensen and Kristen Stewart and Scott Speedman. Well, I would say this is peak Kristen Stewart, but definitely not peak Viggo Mortensen. Or it is, but like they all give great performances, but the performances are so held back by the actors that like you have gotten more bigger and more praising performances, for example, out of Viggo Mortensen than what you get here. But all in all, I thought that it was a suitably good film with a really interesting questions and topics. Could have delved even deeper into them, but it is what it is, and what it is still pretty solid film. I give this somewhat lukewarm recommendation. Not the first Cronenberg I'm gonna tell you to go and check out. Not one of the best, but an okay Cronenbergian feature, nevertheless.
Okay. Well, going from something as creative as Cronenberg stuff, let's jump into The Mole, Undercover in North Korea from 2020. Look, I was really done with North Korea a couple of months ago. Didn't want to see anything new. But then I fortunately came across this documentary online. It's available for free on YouTube from the author's YouTube channel. So to continue on this North Korea vein, the Mole, this is something that even every hardcore follower of North Korea, they should watch it. Because this is again documentary, but this is something completely insane. Okay, it's about a pretty normal looking Danish guy who is a retired chef. But then one day he decides that, I will try to infiltrate the North Korean system. And he joins the local Danish North Korean friendship club or section, team, whatever they call it. And by some crazy luck, he manages to rise up the ladder in its organization. And then really quickly, on one North Korea trip, he comes in touch with this really dodgy Spanish guy who has very high up connections to North Korea. And the Mole then begins to infiltrate more. The Spanish guy is starting to trust the Mole more and more. So sooner than later, the Spanish guy allows him to run parts of his businesses relating to North Korea. And unsurprisingly, they are related to illegal drug trading, weapon stealing, and more of that vein. And then not only that, there's a guy that the Mole is hiring, like an ex-con man, who used to be a drug dealer. And he's hired as a guy to con the North Koreans into believing that he is this big business partner that they need to strike a deal with regarding drugs and weapons. But yeah, it's all a scam, and somehow the North Koreans just keep on buying it. They seem to be careful, and they have a lot of internal discussions on camera, but apparently not careful enough. There's really nothing practical that they would have, just drop some company name that they made up, and then they say that this guy, this con man, is the CEO or whatever of this company that doesn't exist. And it actually goes so far that this con man and the Mole and the Spaniard, they get together in a North Korean negotiating table, and they sign an actual deal about methamphetamine sales and weapons and Scud missiles. This is just the next level of documentary filmmaking. Oh my god, this is downright insane. And this is definitely ending on a high note in this episode. I really hope that everyone goes to see the mole undercover in North Korea. You will see all matter of things. You can see politicians in different countries on camera being interested in these fake business plans and whether they would like to collaborate with the NK or not. Absolutely astonishing.
Yeah, I too had a short email exchange with that Spaniard guy.
Right.
Something like 4 or 5 months ago.
Oof. I wouldn't be surprised. This guy is a little bit too talkative.
Well, he wasn't too talkative with me. In the end, I was hunting down screening rights for Bulgasari, which I showed in one movie evening before and like North Korean copyright in Western nations not hold that highly, but hold up that highly. But in order to just to do it by the book, I decided that I will, by God, I will get the screening rights somehow. And the Spaniard, unfortunately, was my first attempt. But also the first source that said that, okay, yeah, you can show it.
I bet.
Way better than that fucking consonant that I eventually managed to track down. So I still don't know if he was a legit, but like, oh fuck, that was an experience.
Oh wow. Well, there was a lot of experience for this episode. Do you still have more, or I think we are almost touching on the 3-hour mark recording-wise.
We can just also end it here.
Yeah.
To give a quick shout out to yet still 2 movies. These are kind of smaller features, but like really quickly, I do recommend The Significant Other, which is surprisingly good. If you get through the first half, on the second half, alien invasion, small glass, it always happens in the woods film. Especially with a powerhouse performance from Jake Lacy, who plays Harry in that film. It's one of those films that revolve around like mid-film twist, which is not the best one, especially because you can kind of see through the fake out that the movie throws at you almost immediately. But following that twist, what results is actually pretty good, extremely budget limited, but uses its constraints really wisely, alien invasion survival thriller feature. And my another final quick recommendation goes to horror comedy film Deadstream. Also really low budget and made by Joseph Winter, who acts the main role and also is directing, also wrote the script with his wife. This one is found footage with it's a live broadcast from a spooky ghost house twist on it, and kind of just about the right length. The main problem with Deadstream is the typical problem that you have with horror films. Horror films kind of require the people in the horror film not to realize that they are horror film, so that they can kind of be like, I don't believe in supernatural, in order to make all the stupid mistakes that they make so that the horror can happen. Deadstream does the exact same thing, except the unfortunate effect here is that the main character, Sean, makes it kind of clear that he believes in supernatural. So when he starts to make those extremely obvious stupid mistakes, don't recite those words in Latin, you dumb ass, or oh my god, already realized that woman is the ghost who is the main evil of the haunting this place. Just, complete blinders going on there, and does not realize anything. The stupidity in those moments is already headache-causingly stupid, and that really results from the fact that Sean is established as someone who already believes in supernatural. So he should know better. He should see the obvious red flags. Outside of that, yeah, it's surprisingly good. Uses its time slot well. Occasionally, even actually manages to be quite funny as a horror comedy. So my last two recommendations to Significant Other and Deadstream.
Okay, well, alright, I will just run quickly through something. Definitely not always recommendations, but I did watch The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari from 1920, this old classic stuff finally. Got around watching it, I guess kind of shamefully admitting here that I had not been watching it before. One of those movies also on the 1001 movies that you should watch before you die. It's about the somnambulist Cesare, and this creature gets awakened for some moments from his death-like sleep, and then the result is some deathly accidents happen. Nice landscapes, kind of impressive trick shots, yeah. But I have to say that, as kind of the so should we say antagonist who has been asleep for 23 years continuously, in that vein, I kept falling asleep when watching it. It's not really exactly attention-grabbing cinema maybe anymore today. Kinda rambly. But yeah, I did watch it. I also did watch Hölmö nuori sydän, Stupid Young Heart. Have you seen that, by the way?
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, 2018. One of those big Finnish films from that time. Like, tells of a very young couple. The lady gets pregnant and they are like, around 15 years of age, let's say. And the guy gets into all kinds of bad habits with Nazis and kind of looking for his identity. Growing up story very much, but didn't quite hit all the marks. But you see a little bit of Helsinki there. You get the anger of some characteristic Helsinkians, I suppose. I did watch Apollo 11 from 2019, which is kind of like a cinematic cohesive unit of you get access to all these old films. There's no commentary, it's just footage from the original moon landing mission and has some music to accompany it. Interesting choice of electronic music there, but always interesting to watch these kind of things. A lot of material I would say that hasn't been seen before. I also did watch Sauna from 2008, a little bit of a Finnish mania here recently. Movies that I've wanted to watch with my partner so he gets a little bit more idea of the Finnish language and the Finnish mindset and the Finnish cinema. Sauna, which I didn't particularly care for, found it quite exhausting a watch and repetitive. I don't know. Did you get your socks off for this?
I don't. It's been so long that I've seen Sauna. I've only watched it once, even though I do have the DVD somewhere.
Yeah.
I remember that I didn't. I remember having mixed feelings about it, but unfortunately, I don't remember the film well enough to actually say anything about it.
Yeah, it's definitely a film that could be revisited because there's things under the surface there that you just don't grab onto on the first watch. Yeah, maybe sometime in the future I will rewatch it. And of course I famously, at least in the backgrounds of this podcast, I famously did go see Oppenheimer and didn't quite like it. maybe that's another podcast entirely if we ever decide to take on that perilous path.
Yeah, and despite your feelings about Oppenheimer and Dr. Caligari, I am supposed to be the bad guy of the podcast.
Yeah.
Seriously, people, Karri, this is the man you are championing as your hero here on the lab.
Yeah. But anyway, Thanks everyone for joining us. I have no recollection where we're going next.
I absolutely do not have those notes with me at the moment. I remember that it was some movie.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
The place where I'm going is definitely bed for now. But see you next time.
Until then. And if Kevin Bacon stays as Kevin Bacon as he is here,